Hello everybody, I'm back again to talk about the next stage in my weight loss healthy journey. So in the last one I got up to kind of the point where I made the decision that now was the time to lose weight, and I talked about a lot of the things about being very tall and always being the biggest person in the space and all the things that kind of affected how I felt in that way. So I thought it was only fair that I spoke about some of the things before I talk about how I lost the weight and what made me able to stick to it, that I should talk about one of the things that has kind of played into my favour, because that's only fair. In that I don't really have an emotional attachment with food, and the more people that I've spoken to and the more people that have spoken to me since I started losing weight, I've realised that that's such a big factor. I think it is for everybody, but it does seem to be, particularly for women, it seems to be a really big factor. So I don't reach for food if I'm not feeling good. Quite the opposite really. I suffer quite badly from anxiety, and if I am anxious, not if I'm stressed or if I'm worried or, you know, all the things that we all have a natural range of, but if I'm actually feeling anxious with a capital A, and that has physical symptoms as well as irrational fear, thoughts and stuff, I don't eat, which is equally unhealthy, and it's not something that I have chosen to do. It's crazy. I have been known to go 48 hours, 60 hours without eating anything at all, and for some reason it doesn't make my body feel any worse than the anxiety is making it feel. I still am able to sleep to a certain extent and function. I can only assume it's pure adrenaline, the kind of panic, the flight, that heightened state that I'm in when I'm very anxious. So I don't reach for food. I physically, I try and put food in my mouth. It's like eating feathers and gravel, so I just don't. And if anything, after 2 or 3 days or whatever, if my anxiety starts to calm a little bit, I've got to kind of then make myself eat again. Now that doesn't happen very often. It might happen 3 or 4 times a year. Sometimes I feel I'm suffering from anxiety for weeks on end. Sometimes it's 12 hours and I'm able to lift myself out of it. I am on medication for my anxiety. So all that being said, that has never been used as a weight loss tool, and it's not something that I would wish on anybody, and I certainly am not endorsing it. The only point I'm making is that nothing in my life emotion-wise really makes me reach for food. And I realise that actually I'm very lucky, because emotional eating seems to be a very big sticking point for a lot of people when they're trying to lose weight. People generally in life aren't lazy, they aren't stupid, they aren't ignorant, they aren't determined despite any health or any information given to them. They don't want to change. A lot of people want to change, and they're unable to because of their relationship with food. Now that is way above my pay scale. I am not a nutritionist, I am not a trainer, I'm simply talking about my story. But I just wanted to let you know that that's not a demon that I have to deal with. So when I talk a little bit about what I physically did and how I maintained the weight loss and stuff, that I have not had to battle with emotional eating along the way, and I am very grateful that that's one of the things that's just not in my psyche. So if you are an emotional eater, please don't look at what I've done and either do it or think you can do it and then feel disappointed in yourself when an emotional eating episode happens. There's lots of help. Please seek help if you're really wanting to lose weight and emotional eating is getting in the way. you know, Google, just get out there and get some support and speak to people about that. But I just wanted to make that clear, that that's something that I've not had to deal with. So that's that. So basically I got to the point where I was in the car, I was driving home from dropping my daughter somewhere, and I just decided I don't want to feel like this anymore. I am very heavy. I don't like how I look. I don't like the face that I see in the mirror or the face that I see in pictures. It feels like I'm sort of wearing extra layers of something that isn't me. No intention to get skinny, no intention to get overly fit. I just wanted to lose some weight so I could feel like a more sort of genuine me. And also I was kind of fed up with, in my mind, letting myself down. You know, I knew for a long time that I was getting heavier, but not doing anything about it. So I've used SlimFast in the past. That was my first go-to. I literally, the decision was made, driving along in the car, drove to Superdrug. Now, why does SlimFast work for me? I like milky, creamy drinks. I like a milkshake. If I'm having a cocktail, I like a creamy cocktail. So I like a milkshake. That's half the battle, okay? Because I followed their plan strictly for the first sort of 6 months. So a shake for breakfast, shake for lunch, fine. I don't have to think about what I'm eating. I don't have to make decisions. It's 2 times of the day that I didn't have to make any judgment calls or decisions on what I was eating. 3 snacks a day, 300 calorie snacks a day. They can be anything. I did buy some SlimFast snacks to begin with, but then I sort of replaced them with my own stuff. 3 snacks, basically 100 calories each. So you could be looking at a couple of small apples. You could be looking at a small chocolate bar. You could be possibly looking at a couple of digestive biscuits. You've got to, in my mind, you've got to eat what you like. Less of it, but eat what you like. As I got further along the journey, and I'll probably talk about this more in the next one, because now I'm very nutrition focused and on protein and things like that. I was very heavy and I needed to lose weight, and I had a lot of weight to lose. So I wanted to start losing it fairly swiftly, but I needed to eat and I needed to have a life that I could still enjoy, because too much denial of anything that you like is not sustainable, I don't feel. Unless you're an athlete, you know, and your livelihood and your success in life depends on achieving these physical goals. Certainly in the early days, I needed to, you know, enjoy my day still. So shake in the morning, shake at lunch, 3 100 calorie snacks mid-morning, in the afternoon and the evening. Now I need to look forward to my tea. It's just a thing. I cannot have anything very exciting for breakfast and lunch, but I like cooking tea, dinner, whatever we want to call it, supper. I'm Devon girl, call it tea. So I very quickly went onto the SlimFast website, and actually, I mean, this sounds all very sponsored by SlimFast, but it could be any meal replacement weight loss system that, you know, it's just that SlimFast is the one that I know. They had some really, really good recipes, and we're still eating them 9-10 months down the line. So I spent a couple of hours, went through the website, and I made up a little recipe book of about 12 different teas, suppers, that I thought me and my husband and my daughter would enjoy. They all come in at about 600 calories for a female portion, 800 calories for a male portion. Not so keen on the male-female thing because I'm bigger than a lot of men, but anyway, I stuck to what they said initially, and my husband was joining me on the weight loss journey anyway, so we stuck to what was there. And you know, there's risotto, there's pasta, there's cottage pie. So I think for me, it was very, very important to have a tea that I could cook, because I like cooking, a tea that I could enjoy, but would still help keep me going with the weight loss. So I created my own sort of recipe book, and I still use it now, and I add stuff into it all the time. So that's what we were doing. So that works out about 1,350 calories a day. Now, knowing what I know now, that is very, very low. And that would be a level that some people would say is unsustainable. It suited me and it was fine. I started losing weight quickly. £2, £3, £4 a week. I had a lot to lose, remember, okay? Again, what I know now and what I'll talk about more in the last of the 3 videos is finding out your own metabolism and everything else. So this is purely what I did, not what I know now. So lots of weight started coming off, great. Wasn't really seeing in the mirror. There was the numbers were coming down rapidly on the scale. Oh, and I forgot to say, I started at 17 stone 8. Okay, it's a lot of women. So that was a lot of weight. That was way up into the obese range on the BMI. So, you know, I definitely needed to do something and get the ball rolling pretty quick. So weight started coming off, not seeing it in the mirror as quickly as I thought I would, but again, I probably will refer to that in the third video. There's a reason why you see the results on the scale and you don't necessarily see it in the body quite as quick. So I'll talk a bit more about that in the next one. So then I started thinking, right, okay, I'm getting this weight off. How can I make this sustainable? How can I make this work a little bit quicker? And the only exercise at the time that I liked is walking. I'm not a runner. I'm a cart horse, not a race horse. I am fitter at the moment than I've been for 25 years, and I still don't like running, and I still don't actually run. I never run. Third video. So I just thought, right, walking, how can I fit walking into weight loss? Because everybody likes going for a stroll, you know, and I walked a lot. I stand up all day at work, and it certainly wasn't losing any weight. When you are overweight, it's a phrase that I've heard, but definitely weight loss happens in the kitchen, fitness happens in the gym. So I had to be eating right, and I had to be restricting my calories in order to have weight loss, but exercise was only going to help. So I decided to start walking. Now I live in Honiton. Many of you watching this will probably be in Honiton or know it. Basically, we are in a valley, and I am on the edge of a precipice in the valley. So wherever I walk from my house, if it's one way, it's downhill, and then the back is uphill. There's very little level ground. So I went out for a walk, and I walked for about an hour, and I got home and I felt tired, and I was sort of fairly chuffed with myself. And the next day I woke up and I wasn't terribly stiff or anything, so I did it again. And I just started doing it every day. My big advice on that is to get yourself some good earbuds, get yourself a playlist. Mine is just a smorgasbord of cheese. It's the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s dance music. Just get music in my ears. If you're not a music person, podcast. Get something so that you're not just thinking about the huffing and the puffing. You're not thinking about what are people thinking, looking at me, dragging myself up a hill. Get something in your ears and get listening. I also bought myself a reasonable pair of trainers. I didn't pay a fortune, but I thought I was worth a reasonable pair of trainers, so my feet were comfortable. And also in time, I started to get myself some clothing that was suitable for walking. Because I was only going out for an hour, I didn't particularly need, I wasn't off-roading. I'm long in the body. I spend my whole life pulling my trousers up, pulling my tights up, got myself some decent leggings. Third video, I'm going to talk about the clothing and stuff that I love and that have really sort of helped me keep motivated and keep feeling good. So get something in your earbuds, whether it's music or podcasts, anything out there. Get yourself something decent on your feet so you can walk and then they're comfortable, and make sure you've got some decent leggings or trackies or something that you're not constantly hitching up, because the harder it is and the more that you're fussing and faffing with yourself, the less you're focused on what you're doing. Okay, so these were fitness walks. My friends, a couple of friends wanted to come out with me because I was walking every day, and this was during one of the lockdowns, and they both came out once and didn't come again. And I did warn them, because if I've got enough breath to chat, I ain't walking fast enough. So basically, this sort of circumvention of Honiton that I was doing was about 3 miles. And I was doing that in about 60 minutes. Gradually extended that walk. So when I'd been doing that for sort of 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like, I could probably do a little bit further. I always tried to do it in the hour because that didn't sort of really mess with everything else that was happening. Eventually it got up to 3.5 miles, then it was up to 4 miles. So I was, you know, tanking on, but these were walks of fitness, but it's free. I was getting fresh air, listening to some music, doing whatever. So that was burning about 300 calories. So that was on top of the fact that I cut my calories with what I was eating. So that then obviously helped speed up the weight loss. And also I was starting to get my heart moving. I was starting to just see what my body could do again. I would weigh once a week. It's very, oh my God, it's so tempting to weigh yourself more often. Personally for me, if I weighed in more often than a week, it would be disappointing because your weight fluctuates. As a woman, our weight fluctuates due to our menstrual cycle. I always weigh myself first thing in the morning, naked, in the downstairs bathroom, okay? Post first wee of the morning, pre-eating anything, and that's then consistent. So our body, we naturally obviously take on fluids and stuff throughout the day. We're always heavier at night than we are in the morning. Whenever you choose, if you are choosing to weigh, and weighing yourself is not essential. If the scale is going to upset you and the scale has let you down in the past, then leave the scale out of it and just do what you need to do and feel better for it. I wanted to, I'm quite competitive with myself. The weekly weigh-in as well, I found, because previously I have lost weight, never lost this much weight, but then I never had this much weight to lose. I've plateaued, I've got stuck on a weight, I've regained a little bit of weight, and that weighing in can sometimes sabotage your momentum. So weighing in weekly I found was good because there was always a little bit of a loss. Sometimes there was a big loss, sometimes, and usually if there was a smaller loss or even a week, I think there was a couple of weeks, I think Christmas, I didn't weigh myself for 2 weeks and I was the same as before. That was fine because I knew that I'd had a little bit more and I'd maintained. And in the third video I'll talk a little bit more about you know, actually how much you can eat as long as you do the maths and maintain a weight. And the plateauing and regaining, that can be a massive thing. And obviously, again, if you are an emotional eater, that is the awful cycle you can get into, that you think you're working hard, you don't get the result you expect, you feel let down, you feel deflated, you feel ashamed, and then you eat to feel better, and then you're in this cycle. For me, I just had to do the damn thing. I just had to do it. I just had to be consistent. I had to eat the right amount of calories, do a little bit of exercise, and just do it day after day after day after day. Some weeks I would end the week feeling better than the beginning of the week. Some weeks I would feel like I hadn't really lost. I had to trust the process. Maths really comes into it, and I'll talk about maths more in the next one, because you know, when you actually work out how many calories you should eat and you can't argue with it. Counting calories, when you do it properly, I say properly, when you actually look into it, you know, a little bit of research, it will always work, but only if you actually do it. And we've all done it. We've all eaten a bit more and we forget and we don't write everything down. I put everything down. I've got an app on my phone, and there's FitnessPal. There's so many apps. Everything I eat and drink goes into my app, and I'll show you a little bit more of that in the next one, because that's about how I sort of am maintaining. So you've got to be honest with yourself, because nobody's gaining if we fib. And you would be surprised what has the calories in. You would be so surprised. So now I very much try and choose, I can have a whole plate full for my supper, or I can have a little bit of something and it's going to have the same amount of calories. One's going to have more fat, one's going to have more protein. And so I learn now that I like to eat a lot of food. So the healthier the food is, the more of it I can eat. So that's kind of where I've come to. So I did start planning food. I wasn't meal prepping. I'm not kind of making things up into lots of little plastic boxes, because I'm a normal human being and a mum and I've got a business. But I would plan suppers for the week, which flies in the face because I'm not I'm not a domestic goddess by any stretch of the imagination, and I like to wing it. I've always liked to wing it with cooking food. What I fancied for the family to eat is what I go to Tesco's or Lidl and get on the way home, which meant that you very rarely fancy, or back then very rarely fancy anything particularly healthy. So, you know, we were not takeaway people, because I'm too stingy for that. You know, takeaways are expensive, and we didn't eat a lot of high fat products. But I certainly wasn't eating grains and pulses and the sort of things that I eat a lot more of now. We were eating a lot more processed food. Again, I'm not like a ping cooker, I'm not like a microwave cooker, but you know, lots of oven chips and, you know, chicken things, and you know, every meal was a treat. You know, I love toast, so toast for breakfast, and then a nice sandwich at lunchtime, and a really nice tea that I fancied, and a couple of glasses of wine. Every meal felt like I should be treating myself, and you know, it became such a focus. And food is still very much a focus, but I've just kind of learned to have it as a slightly different focus. So I started just working out, because I had my cookbook of the different meals that I'd negotiated with the family and what they would like. And so, you know, I had a thing on the fridge, and I would say Monday we're having that, Tuesday we're having that, and I would shop for it. Monday is my day off. Monday morning, go to the supermarket with my shopping list, buy everything for the week. Yes, of course we buy extra bits and bobs as you go along, but basically I've got 5 suppers that I don't have to think about. They're there, they're ready to be cooked. Yes, they're cooked from scratch, but you know, none of them are terribly, you know, nothing that needs more than, you know, the normal after work attention. So that was a big deal for me, was planning what we were going to eat for suppers and buying it all on one day. So I wasn't in and out of the supermarket every day, seeing special offers and different stuff. And that was kind of really it for certainly the first 6 months. So very much sticking to the Slim Fast plan, gradually building up my exercise, starting to see my body changing after the first couple of months. The first 2 stone, I could see it, I could feel it, my husband could see it. Nobody else really noticed it massively. In fairness, there was a lot of lockdown involved, so I wasn't seeing people all the time. But the first 2 stone has not garnered as much attention as the last half stone did. And I think it's, again, I'll explain a little bit more when fat starts leaving the body, why sometimes it doesn't change how you look immediately. So yeah, that was the first 6 months. So I think I got to about 3 stone off, very excited about the 3 stone off. And then I think it was the beginning of April, I was out walking and I just thought, do you know what? I'm kind of at the point where I think I would like to do some more structured exercise. The battery just died, so I'm not sure where we were. But basically, the beginning of April this year, I decided I wanted to get back into structured exercise, have somebody holding my hand, because everything that I'd done for the last 6 months, I had researched myself, I had to trust the Slim Fast process, I had to trust how my body was feeling, and I really felt like I wanted to put myself into someone else's hands, and be able to see how far I could take this and find out how I could learn to maintain, improve my weight loss, have an enjoyable life, and maybe have some goals and maybe push myself further than I thought I wanted to. After the first 3 stone, and I got down to an 18 from a 22, and I started thinking, do you know what? I feel like I've got a bit more in the tank here. I feel, because 3 stone was kind of my first big goal. And I kind of felt like I could keep going, and I was doing okay at this, and let's see where it can go. Let's see maybe a size 16 is achievable. You know, that was, you know, great. And maybe I could get a little bit fitter. 50 is 3 years away. I don't ever want to have to do this process from scratch again, even though I've actually really enjoyed the process. I quite like having a project, and it just so happened the project was me. So in the next video, we will talk a little bit more about how I became a little bit smarter and a bit more savvy about food and exercise, what I'm doing now, what I recommend in clothing and eating, and what maybe my goals are ongoing. So thank you for watching again. Any questions you've got, you can put them in the comments, and I will see you soon. Bye.